Good morning. This is week 3 in the Winter Club, and what we're doing today is this cute little jar. And again, if you remember, it's from the book Weekend Sewing from from Annie's Sewing. Um, these little jars are very handy. They're a nice gift to give. As you can see, I have mine full of rickrack and ribbon and stuff like that, and I keep it up on the counter in my sewing room. What you're going to need for this project is you need a glass jar. Any size will do, because in the book it tells you how to measure to make the little band that we're going to do to fit your jar. You're going to need obviously fabric for the band, fabric for the lining. You will also need a little bit of batting, so I hope you save what you trim off of your quilts. You will need some transfer web, fusible web is another name for it, and this is that hot fix, and you received a sample of this in your Winter Club bag. You're going to need some baby rickrack. That's the real narrow rickrack, and that's the size they call this is baby rickrack. You're going to need some elastic cording. So this is elastic, it's narrow. You'll need a flexible tape measurer. So this is something that you can wrap around the jar. You don't want a metal one, so you want a flexible one. You also need some type of a marking pen, so you can draw straight lines on these. You're going to need some type of glue. I like a glue stick or the liquid Roxanne's glue. You're going to need a covered button kit, the size that it calls for in the material list, and I think it's like a 3/4 of an inch or 7/8, something like that. Obviously the other things you need is the rotary cutter, the mat, the ruler, all that kind of stuff. In the description below there will be a link to go to Renee's House of Quilting, so that you can ask Renee any questions. If you need to place an order for something, you can do that through the email address that I'll put in the link below. The other thing is, I did like still shots as I was making this little band, and what I do then is I include that as another video, but it's a still video. I talk or type in something so that you can see some of the specific steps that I did when I created this. So some of the things that I went over is, for example, how to hold this rickrack on until you stitch it. Now, I only had pink rickrack. I would have liked to have had some black baby rickrack, didn't have it. So I used what I had, because you just don't run out to the store right now during quarantine and trying to stay out of stores. And the other thing that I want you to know is, if you have a printer, you can copy the word sew in your printer, and then you can change the size of it. So the word sew that was in the book was too big for this little jar, so I reduced it, I believe, by about 75%. So just measure what you have here, where you're gonna put your word, and then print it out and go back into copy. And there, on my printer, which is a Hewlett Packard, there's an option for changing the size of what you can either enlarge it or you can make it smaller. So you can do that. You can reduce it. There are other designs in the book. You don't have to do the word sew. They give you all of these in the book. So the cute little spool would be adorable. And again, that's pretty small. That is on a small jar. The little flowers made with buttons. So you don't have to do exactly what Sharon does. But I do want to tell you some tips that I did. Like I said, to hold the rickrack on, I used glue. To make this little loop out of the elastic cord, Remember when I did it in the fall club, or when I've done these before, the problem is you sew over this, you think you've sewn over it enough times, and you catch it in the seam and you pull on it hard and out it comes. Well, my friend Judy Dunmeyer, I was talking to her, and she said what she does is she actually takes the end and ties a knot in it. So just a slip knot, I guess. I don't know, it wasn't a Boy Scout. So you just do this knot in the end of it. So see, I made this little knot. So I would cut then the piece of elastic longer than the dimensions that they give you in the book. So for example, it said 2.5, I would do this 3.5, because you can then cut the ends off. You can also move these knots up and down. So if you got it too low, too high, you need to move it. It's not hard to untie. Then you are going to put that so that the knot, you get like an edge here. So the knot's going to hang over the edge like that. So it's out into actually beyond the seam allowance. And then stitch across it. That way when you pull on it, it's going to pull and hit the knot and not come out. So that's what I did on this one. And in one of the still shots, I show you how to do that. And indeed, it does help. It keeps it from coming out. The other thing is, I again go over how to cover a button. And I think that's about it. So this is a short video, which probably be nice. You all got things to do besides listen to me. But anyways, I hope that these are helpful. I pray that you're all staying safe, and soon this will be over, and we look forward to giving you all hugs when we see you. There's one more week left, and that'll be the sewing machine cover, and I'll go over that and post that video the day after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Again, thank you so much for your support and love. Bye-bye.